Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of the CertiK Security Leaderboard Showcase. I'm your host, Aaron Leibowitz. As you all know well by now, in this showcase, I host a guest for a live AMA where we discuss their work with CertiK, the security leaderboard, and we throw in some live questions from you, the viewers. Our goal is to raise the standards of security in the DeFi ecosystem. The security leaderboard found at CertiK.org is a free tool to help you DYOR. Today, I will be joined by the Tree DeFi team, contributing $1,000 worth of their tokens, as well as some more prizes added on top for today's top live questions. Make sure you go ahead and read the rules on the CertiK.org Twitter post in order to qualify for rewards. Thank you to the Tree team. Remember to like and subscribe before we jump in here. Now let's go ahead and take a look at Tree's CertiK Security Leaderboard posting. Here's what you see when you land at CertiK.org. This is the Security Leaderboard tool. We'll scroll over through some of the BSC projects listed here. We have tons of them. And let's go ahead and navigate to the Tree DeFi page. There we are. You can click into the full audit report for Tree here. You can see all of the issues, how they were recommended to be resolved, and what the team chose to implement. Continuing down, you see the Skynet on-chain security monitoring with 6 security primitives here. Now let's go ahead and bring on today's guest. Daniel, how are you?
Hello, doing good. Am I unmuted now?
What's that?
Am I unmuted?
You are unmuted, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Doing great. How are you doing?
Doing well, thanks. Thrilled to have you on here. Why don't you go ahead and start by giving us an overview of Tree, of you, and your role on the team?
Sure. Tree DeFi is a BSC yield farming project that was born about 5 to 6 months ago. It started from pretty humble beginnings where we just wanted to donate some money to tree planting activities. And we noticed that there was a lack of projects that were doing that on the BSC or cryptocurrency in general. And given the amount of pollution that is happening currently because of Bitcoin, we thought it would be a good opportunity to start a project in this space and see if we can do well with it. And it turned out pretty decent. Myself, I've been involved in a lot of startups, a lot of hackathons in the past, and consultancy for companies as far as technology questions go. I've been investing in cryptocurrency for a few years at this point, but we weren't really working on that specifically. We had a side of our software house that was managing cryptocurrency classes for people, but we weren't vertical on it until this year. But now we're full on cryptocurrency. So yeah, that's us.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that. Let's go ahead and talk about why trees specifically as an environmental cause are so important to you and the team.
Sure. Well, I was basically born around trees in Romania. I don't know if you've ever heard of the country, but it's very forest heavy. So I've always had a love for trees and the environment in general. Mm-hmm. And as soon as we landed upon these projects, I think I was taking a look at other projects like Kebab or something like that I was investing into early this year. And we were just trying to get ideas out. Some of the ideas were very, very bad in the beginning. And then I just looked outside the window, saw trees, and I was like, wait, this makes sense. This could make sense. Yeah, it all started from there. It was just a way to focalize on some of the issues that are going right now with the environment and try to get something out there that could help with it.
Got it. I do know Romania. I did not know it was so forest heavy. Is tree conservation a big deal in Romania today?
Yeah, it's becoming quite a big deal. And there's also some blockchain companies that are based there around trees as well, or environmentalism in general. I don't know if you know Elrond.
No, I don't think I do.
Yeah, it's another blockchain that's going to be launching in a pretty big way, and it's going to be environmentally based as well. And I just noticed that they're Romanian as well. A lot of services are actually Romanian in cryptocurrency. I didn't know about this until like a few weeks ago when I started looking into it.
Yeah, I actually did know that Romania and a few of the surrounding countries too have quite a heavy foothold in the projects.
Yeah, for sure.
So can you explain to us the carbon footprint aspect of the project? How do you track and offset an individual or a company's carbon footprint by planting trees? I understand that trees remove CO2 from the environment, but I'm curious about the tracking and the sort of one-to-one offsetting.
Yeah. So right now we're working on the real life side of this and being able to have it VCS certified and make sure that it actually makes sense in real life and not just logically. But here's how the technology works. So basically, we're basing it off of NFTs. And our NFTs are an equivalent of a tree planted in real life. So each tree that we plant in real life is going to have an equivalent NFT that's on our marketplace. And in order to track the CO2 that the tree is absorbing each and every single year, we just released a new token that is being minted by individual NFTs. So let's say, for example, we have a cacao tree that is absorbing 40 kilograms of carbon dioxide per year. That's exactly the amount of carbon dioxide that the user is going to receive from the NFT into their wallet as a token. So that's basically how we're tracking the carbon footprint of everything through our NFTs. And it's cool because this allows us to create carbon credit certificates, not specifically carbon credit certificates, but offset certificates, because carbon credits are a little bit different. But it's going to be very good in the future for companies that want to offset their own activities. And the best part is that the users that are joining us right now are going to be the early adopters of this technology. And they're also going to have the whole marketplace in their hands in the future when companies decide to join. So that's probably the main interest point for them.
Got it. That makes a lot of sense to me. So you guys are tracking on-chain, using NFTs to track real-world trees and taking estimates of how much CO2 it will absorb in a year, and then divvying out those tokens as a reward.
Yes, and we're checking the offset of the trees and also the geolocalization and various other data about the tree. And we're working on other technologies, specifically RFID, to be able to track individual trees better in real life.
That's great. That sounds very interesting. I think a cool next step from there would be able to help an individual actually track their carbon emissions throughout the year. Because quite frankly, I don't have any idea what my carbon footprint is.
We're working on some front end things that are going to allow people to do that. So we could track car rides, plane rides, and various other things of that sort for individuals. And companies generally have the numbers of pollution that they're putting out into the atmosphere every year. So it's not an issue for them.
Fair enough. Makes sense. I think I fly a little too much to use that one and be successful. I'd have to own a lot of NFTs.
Nice.
So if I'm not mistaken, you guys have a multi-token ecosystem with a governance token that has a fixed supply, and then another token, seed, I believe it is, as the native asset for most of your farming.
Yeah, exactly.
So sort of all of that.
Yeah, sure. So the governance token is Tree. Tree is basically our limited supply token that only has about 16,000 tokens in circulation. So it's kind of a rare asset. And we mainly used it in the past for governance through Snapshot. And it will also be used for rare occasions, for rare pools, and other things that can implement it into the yield farm system. But mainly its use cases, it's very rare. It's going to be used for rare things, and it's going to be used for governance. While seed is an inflationary token with deflationary emission. So each week, the emission of the token drops down by 2%. So the token becomes more and more scarce in its emission as time goes by. That's basically its thing, and it's used mainly to fuel all of the yield farming activities that we have on our platform. And it's also the main way that people can purchase our NFTs. So that's also another thing. We're also trying to have like a 360-degree circular structure to everything. So the NFT marketplace is going to be connected to the yield farming platform through the seed token, so we can keep giving seed value while we're deploying everything else that's new for the project, and while we're moving into the carbon credit scene as well. So we're not forgetting about our origins, and we make sure that the initial investors still have a lot of value on the yield farming protocol.
Got it. That makes a lot of sense to me. So a couple of live questions here. First of all, you have a very active community, and they seem to love you. All right, so for somebody who's a tree lover and wants to join and help the project, do you have any special programs or activities for them to be able to get involved? Before you answer that, I just want to say to the community, guys, as you're asking questions, please do include your Telegram handle. If you are qualified for rewards, it'll make it much easier for us to track you down.
Okay.
Now, go ahead and answer how people can get involved.
Yeah. So we actually were running a program for a long time. That was the Tree Hugger program, where people could just do daily activities on our platform, help other users mainly, and we would take a look at all of the most active users every single week and then reward them and include them into our treehouse, which is a private group where we allow them to do beta testing, where they get more prizes and where they just interact with us in a more private way compared to the main group. And it's been very useful for us with developments as well, and debugging especially. So yeah, there's a lot of incentives for users, and we're trying to add more and more things every single week that we can do for them that help give the project more exposure and also give people some more tokens and incentives and NFTs.
Awesome. That sounds fantastic and pretty exciting for the community. So what is your long-term vision for the project and the forecasting specifically? Can you speak to that at all?
So the forecast of the project in general?
Yeah, I believe that's what they meant.
Yeah, depends. Like short term right now, we're focusing on the release of our AMM, which is going to be either at the end of this week or very early next week. We're just doing the last testing phase of it, and we're going to do some beta testing across the weekend with our community. And after that, we're going to have our new front end next week, so we can be completely separate from any other project that looks similar to us. And we can also implement more dashboards for all of the carbon credit stuff that we're doing. And I guess medium to long term, we're working on our company structure. We're striving to have a company structure that's going to be focused on a company that takes care of all of the technology for the project, a foundation that takes care of all of the charitable action for it, and then another company that takes care of the decentralized exchange aspect of the project. So that's mainly the structure that we're striving for right now. So we just hope that we can keep running the project well, we can keep bringing new features, and that we can break into the carbon credit market and innovate upon it. Awesome.
That sounds very exciting. So let's move on to speak a little bit about security, the reason we're here today. If I'm not mistaken, you have full control of the wallet that fees go to for donating. Have you guys thought about maybe decentralizing this wallet either through a multi-sig where the community owns some of this and they can vote on proposals and where to donate the money or anything similar to that?
Yeah, we've thought about this in the past, and we've tried to implement some sort of governance around that. So giving users the ability to pick the frequency and also the specific projects that we donate to. But it wasn't always like as interactive as we would want it to be. Maybe it was because the project was very early, so we could try to readapt that right now. I think it would be a good idea. But yeah, I think multi-sig would probably be a perfect fit for something like that, specifically the donation wallet. I think it would be very good. But we also have to take into consideration the fact that we're going to be working with a lot of partners that are more stabilized in the real world. So that's where we have to like manage fiat money with cryptocurrency money and various other things along those lines. And it's going to become a little bit hard to have governance through that. But we could definitely have a multi-sig mentality for this. I don't see why that would be a bad thing.
Got it. Just for somebody who's asking in the chat, you can ask multiple questions. You can only qualify for one reward though. So if you ask multiple and multiple get answered, you will not be further rewarded for it. Continuing down the path of security. Why is security so important to you guys? You obviously got an audit. You chose to implement the Skynet on-chain monitoring solution as well. Can you speak a little bit about security, your experience, how it's gone for you, how your work with CertiK has been?
Yeah, the work with CertiK has been very good. You guys have been very open and honest about everything with us and very professional. We've had a good time with it. I mean, we think CertiK is not just an opportunity to get your code properly tested, but it's also an opportunity to get some good marketing because it's one of the most trusted services on the blockchain right now, especially for DeFi projects. So yeah, we're definitely going to be moving on with CertiK for our AMM and other features that we're deploying in the future as well. And trying to improve the score as much as possible because people love the score. They want to see as high of a number as possible to establish trust off of that. But yeah, we don't only work with CertiK, we work with private auditors as well and peer reviewers. So anything that we release, even the auto compounding pool, which was not really a huge feature, like it was a huge feature for investors because it's very convenient for them. But there were some problems in the base code that we found from another big project that implemented it first that I'm not going to name. And thankfully, through the peer reviewing process and various other things that we did, we managed to find the bugs and fix them so we could deploy something safe. So yeah, safety is always the priority, because in the end we're managing people's funds to some degree, so it's essential.
Awesome, that sounds great. Thank you. Shall we go ahead? We're getting some live questions about tokenomics now. Shall we go ahead and show your video?
Yeah, sure.
Excellent. Let's do it. Chat, tell me if this is too loud and I am destroying your ears. I apologize if I am.
DeFi. The CO2 Credit Token is the newest addition to the DeFi ecosystem, an essential resource aimed to further deliver progress and tangibility regarding our main mission of planting trees. Each CO2 credit token is equal to 1 kilogram of existent CO2 removed from the environment as a result of our NFTs, which are NFTs backed by real trees planted around the world. All of this is made possible by the blockchain's transparency, which creates a strong and immutable system that allows users to accurately track their positive impact on the environment via the NFTs they have collected. Users can claim their offset CO2 from our user-friendly dashboard in the form of CO2 credit tokens, which they can then trade on our decentralized exchange. The CO2 credit token can be traded or used to offset an individual or company's carbon footprint. For example, in our new DeFi DEX, the world's first zero carbon footprint decentralized exchange. Users will be able to offset their own transactions in order to keep them carbon footprint free and environmentally friendly. In a split second, you will be able to convert your CO2 credit tokens into a carbon certificate issued by the DeFi Foundation that adheres to all VCS standards, making DeFi the first blockchain disruptor in the $40 trillion ESG market. Join us now to be one of the pioneers of this newly born market that will have a significant impact on the world around us in the next few decades. Your support will help us systemize it and set new quality standards for others to follow. Stay tuned for a month full of amazing updates and have an oxygen-packed day.
Well, that was fantastic. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you for playing it. Yeah, I hope this explains a little bit better our new token that was just released, which I described as well earlier through the NFT explanation and the trackability of our offset purposes.
Absolutely. I think that was a great explainer. And if your community needs, share this podcast out to them afterwards. We'll be definitely.
Yeah, we'll have it up on YouTube in a few days, I believe.
Perfect. They'll also be live on the YouTube link I shared you before. So anywhere you need it. So diving into a few more live questions here. You have a very cool feature called Harvest Guard. How will Harvest Guard, how does Harvest Guard work, and how does it protect tree and seed users?
Yeah, so basically Harvest Guard is a feature that we were thinking of from the beginning of the project, but it was very hard to implement because of our current mastership that we have. But since we're going to be redeploying everything, it's going to be much easier to implement this into the new farms. So essentially what it does is that it will lock some of the rewards from users for a specific amount of time. So in our case, it would have been 30% of the rewards would be released instantly, while the remaining 70% of the rewards would be released gradually throughout the next week, just to avoid whales from hopping into new pools and dumping them like a day after. Because it's very common, especially with projects that don't have massive liquidity pools like Pancake. We don't have billions of dollars in there. So it's very easy for a single person even to manipulate a small pool as soon as it's launched. So it's basically just a way to keep the project fair for every single user.
That makes sense. And I'm a big believer in fair launch practices. So that's something that I can definitely support. So on the planting of trees, once a tree is planted, what happens with the landowner? How do they get rewarded at all? What is their involvement? And are you monitoring to ensure the tree's good health after just planting and that it actually grows into a, can you elaborate on this a little bit?
Yeah, sure. With the current partners that we have, we're constantly in contact with them and organizing new projects as time goes by, especially the learning school in Sumbawa. We basically talk to them on a daily basis. So we generally organize a budget for the tree planting and also a budget for the workers, for the cost of the materials, and for general maintenance around the school, and some fun things that we can do for kids to help out with the school as well. So everything is included in there. And we're striving not only to help with tree planting, but also to help the communities that are planting for us and make sure that in some of the rural areas, especially in Brazil, there's a lot of opportunity for us to not only plant a lot of trees, but build an ecosystem of people and a little town that they can live off of and have a prosperous job in the future. So we're definitely focusing on that as well. And the communication is generally consistent across time with all of the partners that we have so far.
Got it. Very cool. That's really fantastic. And somebody in the chat used the term eco DeFi. I'm a fan of that. I hadn't heard it before. So do you guys have plans to go cross-chain in the future? Can you talk to us a little bit about anything surrounding that?
Yeah, for sure. We've been thinking about that for a while. The only thing is that we wanted to have a solid foundation with our AMM and new master chef and make sure that the code is completely 100% sound on that end. And then we can move on to another network where we can implement a project that's similar to ours or the same as ours. I think, Polygon for sure is a really easy way to do it and something that matches the same code that we're using currently. And Cardano is looking very interesting right now, but it's still kind of an empty void. So we're waiting for a little bit more development there and seeing how we can deploy it. But I'm trying to study it as much as possible with the team.
Yeah, my following of Cardano so far seems like there's a lot of excitement, a lot of developer activity, no real adoption or use yet.
Yeah, it's crazy that they got to such a high spot in the rankings just by creating hype.
Yeah, I mean, that's been the market for a long time. If you were here in 2017, that really was the case.
It's ahead of BNB even at this point, right? Yeah,
I didn't check today, so. But yeah, I saw it pop up in the top 4 the other day.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Craziness, total craziness. So do you guys have plans to onboard more tree planting in different countries? Can you tell us where you're located today and any other countries that you're looking to expand to?
Yeah, absolutely. Currently, we're looking to expand into Brazil a lot because the cost makes sense for what we can provide right now. The social impact that we can have also is very good in that country, and we can just plant a ton of trees there. We have some partners that are already a lot deeper than us into social activities in Brazil, and they're also local there. They've been working with the government in the past. They're called Amazonas Coin. And they can help us get a lot of land there and organize a project that could plant upwards of around 2 million trees in the next year or so. That's the type of stuff that we're trying to do right now. It's just hard because some of the areas there, the land is very cheap, but you have to get into practicalities as well. So while the land may be cheap in Brazil, some of the land is very inaccessible. So you have to find clever ways of tracking the trees afterwards. So we were thinking of drone tracking as well, RFID systems and various other things that we can implement to keep track of trees in areas that are a little bit more dangerous and hard to get into.
That makes a lot of sense. And I believe it was Pakistan who did a huge tree planting project recently and is using drones to monitor tree growth over time.
Yeah, it's awesome to see new technology implemented for this as well.
Yeah, really, really interesting stuff. So back to a little bit of community involvement stuff here. Everybody loves hackathons. They're healthy for the community and for the project itself. Do you guys have plans to involve the community through hackathons or other projects like that?
Yeah, definitely. I've been thinking about this for a while. Since we're a relatively large project as far as the tree planting niche goes right now on the blockchain, we could definitely organize something for other projects that want to get in on the charitable action and the environmental one for the blockchain. So right now we actually have a group that we organize with some of our other partners on the BSC, where I believe we have around like 150 projects that are participating in the group. And it's basically just a way for each other to help each other, give each other tips on marketing and auditors and other things that we can share with one another. But I always thought that it would be a great opportunity to gather all of those projects, do a huge fundraising with them and start some sort of a real life DeFi event with all of the projects that we know there. So definitely I'm trying to organize something like that. It's just hard to manage along with everything. But it would be awesome. I think DeFi definitely needs to step into the real world and create more events than it is doing currently.
Totally agree. And even if they are virtual events, I know a lot of project owners care about keeping their anonymity. It would be really nice to see, more of the traditional fintech approach to community building. being brought in. I know
sure.
that's your background, so I'm sure that you can speak to that one.
Yeah.
So can you tell us what are a few of the sort of unique value propositions of Tree DeFi versus other yield farms on BSC?
Sure. I think one of the main things and the easiest one that people can distinguish is that a lot of yield farms are based on making money, and that's it. They're there to make money, collect money, and release money to people. In our case, we implement some of those methodologies as well, just to operate, obviously. But one of our main focuses is the environment as well. So people can make money, they can farm, they can do everything else that they would do on another project. They can purchase NFTs, they can trade them, but at the same time, every single action that they do on the platform is helping the environment in one way or another. And we're also implementing various other features. For example, for the AMM, we're implementing an offset transaction feature. So users will be able to offset every single transaction that they have on the platform. While they may think that proof of stake is completely safe from pollution, it's not completely safe. Anything that you do with electricity or just general operations on a computer is always having a negative impact on the environment to some degree. And BNB is a culprit of that as well. So we're trying to offset people's transactions. It's going to be a choice, especially in the beginning. We don't want to force people to pay more just to offset their transactions if they're not interested, but it's definitely going to be an option that's there for all of the dedicated people that want to offset everything.
Got it. That makes sense. And to be honest, I was pretty much thinking that proof of stake is, I know it doesn't use zero electricity, but I figured the amount is pretty negligible. Is that not the case?
It's not the case. It's negligible, obviously, compared to coal mining or something like that.
For sure.
But, yeah, it's not horrible, but if there's more improvement that we can do, we'll definitely strive for that.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. Thank you for sharing that. All right, let's try and get a last two questions from the chat in here and wrap this up, shall we?
Sure.
Let's choose some really good ones to finish off with. What do we got here, guys? Get your last questions in. I'm giving you a minute to ask some more, and then I'm going to choose. All right. Does Tree DeFi intend to become a DAO project? You plan to decentralize the entire governance and give autonomy to the community over the future of the project?
That would be really cool. I just don't know how it would be managed, because you would still have to bring choices from the team in the beginning. You can't get people to choose everything. What we've seen is that people love to speculate and come up with interesting ideas and very clever things. We've taken a lot of advice from people, especially for all of the carbon credit related things. If it wasn't for the community and some of the university scholars that ended up in our project and gave us a lot of tips on it, maybe we wouldn't have ended up here. So we always take advice from the community. The only problem is that they get very excited about their ideas and they're just spamming like 1,000 different ideas at once. So it's very hard to collect them. But we always try to implement something like that. So anything that we do, we ask the community first. We show them the intentions that we have, and we see if everything is completely fine with them, if it's making them happy or not, if they're excited, and if it makes sense in the ecosystem that we have. So we're never going to have features that we just release without saying anything to the community. It would be cool to have a DAO mentality. I would just have to see how to manage something like that.
That makes a lot of sense. And speaking to that, just a little bit of the experience that I've seen is making strict requirements for improvement proposals can help with that, because a lot of the half thought out ideas, they're not going to write a full proposal and stick to the requirements that you put forth, but that's a long-term difficult thing to implement. According to the roadmap, you have a licensed company for trading activities. Are you planning to set up a real-world company with real-world off-chain activities in the future?
Real-world off-chain activities. Yeah, definitely. We're going to have the foundation that's going to manage all of the charitable things that we do. The decentralized exchange company is mainly going to be based on blockchain activities, and the other one is just going to be technology related. So I guess we could help other projects as well with the technology through that company, but not specifically. We're trying to stick to the blockchain as much as possible because it's the thing that we believe in. 100% right now.
Makes sense to me. All right. Well, Daniel, thank you so much for joining us today. It has been fantastic and very enlightening. Really exciting to learn about. Is there anything you want to leave the community with? Let them know where to follow you guys, where to get involved.
Yeah, sure. You can follow us on Twitter. That's where we have all of our updates every single day. We don't even skip one day. Ever since we started the project, we've always been active on Twitter. Telegram is a place where you can talk to all of the developers. They're also active on there, all of the community managers. And if you have proposals, that's probably the best place that you can give us some tips and tricks on things that you guys have in mind. We also have a feedback page that you can check out. I believe it was governance.treedefi.com or feedback.treedefi.com. And yeah, that's basically it. We also have weekly videos on our YouTube channel that you can find at TreeDeFi on YouTube, and a lot of planting videos, a lot of donation stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of content for people. There's a lot of live streams that we're going to be doing. So yeah, check our Twitter out mainly, and you'll find everything there.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much. By the way, I love your background. Very
thank you.
On brand.
Yeah, I prepared this for my face reveal when I reveal my identity. It was a stressful week.
I believe it. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us as always, and I will catch you next week.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.